Hey there, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about improvements in China. And the timeline I'm working with is from 2007, 2008, right up until now, 2024. During that time, China has changed a lot. And in some ways, actually, I prefer the old China. But in some ways, it has noticeably improved. And I want to highlight a few different points in this video. And I have spent a little while thinking about it, and 5 main points have surfaced, and I'm going to be talking about those. The first one on the list you'll be happy to hear is that overall, I have seen improved treatment of pets. The number of pet owners in China is growing, and while there are some very heinous things that happen to animals here, I've seen some very disturbing things on Twitter, and there aren't really any animal rights laws, so the people that do these things, as far as I know, they don't really face any consequences. But I'm just focusing specifically on those people who own pets. I'm pretty much referring to cats and dogs for this video. But I have noticed better treatment of them. You've got more pet owners that are pampering their pets more. You see a lot more people out walking their dogs. And I'm starting to see people show more love to their animals, to their pets. Now, overall, historically, China has been a pretty brutal place for animals in general. But I am seeing some positive trends, at least for those people who do own pets. In years past in China, back in the old days, I'm referring to like right around 2010, I used to actually say, and I would tell my friends this, I would say, I really wish people in China just wouldn't buy pets. Just because I saw the way that they would treat them, they were rough to them. And back in those days, I never saw somebody with an old dog or an old cat. I saw some people buying cute little puppies, and they would take their puppy to a lounge or take it outside to kind of show it off. But what happened when that dog got out of the, cute little puppy phase and grew up and became an adult dog? Because I never used to see people with older pets or even like fully grown pets. I'm thinking that a lot of people back in those days would buy the little cute puppy because it was just so cute, they liked it. But then when it would grow up and they saw that it took a lot of responsibility to care for, maybe the dog was too noisy. Sometimes you get a dog and it has issues with barking at night, maybe it pees on the floor, poops on the floor. And I'm thinking that a lot of people just set the dog outside and let whatever happen happen. Maybe the dog would become a stray. Maybe it wouldn't adjust to life out in the wild and maybe just die. But I'm seeing less of that. And now I'm seeing people with old dogs. When I'm outside, I see a lot of people walking their dogs, and I see plenty of fully grown older pets, which is a good thing because that shows that they're not just in it for the short term when it's a cute little puppy. And, being a pet owner sometimes can be kind of stressful. It costs money, it takes time and effort, and you've got to be in it for the long run. You've got to be willing to put forth effort, practice patience, get the dog medical care at a veterinarian whenever it's sick. It's a big responsibility, and I think a lot of people, especially younger people, when they get a pet, oh, look how cute it is. But then they realize, oh, this isn't quite what I thought it was. I mean, it's cute to look at, it's fun to pet, but it requires a lot of time and effort, patience, and it's a major responsibility. That said, there is still a very long way to go in terms of treatment of pets, but it's definitely trending towards improvement. There have been plenty of times where people in my community, somebody will post a picture of a dog in a small box, like down in the parking garage area. Usually it turns out to be a little puppy in a box, and it's just been left to sit there. And I guess the person that bought it realized, oh, this is different than what I thought it was going to be, and I don't want to take care of this thing. Or I'm not going to put up with it barking at night and keeping me awake, or whatever reason they have. So I've seen so many times where they've just put it in a box and set it down in the parking garage. Now, will somebody take the dog and care for it? I certainly hope so, because it frustrates the hell out of me every time I see it. Because they're putting the dog there and they're basically saying, okay, I'm done with this, and whatever happens, I don't care. I bought the dog, I took it in, but now it's not my responsibility. I'm just setting it here, and hey, what will be will be. And I doubt they even give it another thought. And that's just pathetic. And of course, I wish I could take all those dogs in when I've seen that happen, but I just can't. It's just not possible. It's not realistic. And trust me, I've seen plenty of brutal treatment of animals, not only just on Twitter, but also in my community. Recently, one of my neighbors killed another neighbor's dog because it got in their hallway. It was just a little dog, but the guy's wife was pregnant, and he said that his wife was scared of it, so he kicked the dog to death in the hallway. And I could go on, but as a whole, the number of pet owners is growing, and it is trending toward people caring about their pets more, taking better care of them, and I hope that trend continues. Another improvement that I want to highlight here in this video is that people are getting better at driving. And I don't want to sound condescending or like I'm some arrogant Westerner, but for anybody who spent time in China, especially, over the past decade, you would have certainly seen some absolutely horrific and stupid things happening on the road. I used to see people all the time driving in a black car at night with no lights on. And this was a regular thing. It was almost every day. Sometimes those cars would just stop right in the street and just stop there, maybe to look at their phone. They would literally just stop on the road. Or sometimes they would be moving along at like 5 miles per hour. They would honk like crazy, and they just basically didn't really follow any rules of the road. It was just kind of like organized chaos. With that said, driving here still has a long way to go. I mean, one of my pet peeves is people pulling up to a T in the road and they want to turn and they just pull out. Like when they pull up to that T in the road, they don't even stop. They actually go ahead and start pulling out without even looking. They just expect oncoming cars to kind of move out of the way or to yield to them, when actually cars that are moving straight have the right of way. And people still honk here. They lay on the horn, and they'll lay on it sometimes for a full minute. You hear a lot of honking, and probably in some of my videos, like while I'm recording them, I can hear honking outside, but I don't know if it's coming through on the microphone. But it's better than before. You see less of that just really incredibly stupid driving, and you're seeing things become slightly more organized. People are using the horns less. So overall, the level of driving here in China, it has noticeably improved and is trending in that direction to keep improving. And that's definitely a good thing overall. The third thing I want to talk about in this video and highlight is something that you've heard about. There are so many videos on YouTube, people freaking out. Oh, look, a train in China. Wow. I'm not here to talk about it like that, but when I first came to China in 2007, there were no high-speed railways. There was just the slow train and long-distance buses, and I used to take those quite a bit. I've had some long train rides and long bus rides in China in the early days. And while they make for some interesting stories, and you definitely have some interesting experiences on those, they were kind of exhausting and they could be, well, kind of uncomfortable at times. Well, in 2008, China opened up their high-speed railway. They didn't have many lines at the time, but since 2008, it has been constantly just expanding. And now, I mean, you can see a map of where it was in 2008 and where it is now in 2024. And these high-speed railways are fantastic for travel because they make trips that were impossible before very possible now. You can cover a lot of distance in a pretty short period of time. And it's not only big cities that have these railway stations. There are a lot of smaller cities all across China that also have high-speed rail stations. So for me, a traveler, this is just fantastic. And it makes life and travel in China very convenient. Point number 4, and this one might come as a surprise for you all, but people these days, when they go to a restaurant, most people, they are willing to take food to go. Like they order a bunch of food, they have this big smorgasbord, and back in the day, they would waste so much food. They would not take food to go. And I've talked to some Chinese friends about this, and the way this was perceived in the past, like if you couldn't finish your dinner in a restaurant, you wouldn't take it home because that was kind of seen as losing face. That was seen as something like a poor person would do. So you just buy a bunch of food, you eat what you can, and whatever's wasted, it was kind of like a sign of wealth. And that always really bothered me, just the excessive waste that was going on. I always thought that was really, really stupid. Well, I'm happy to report that these days, most Chinese people I go out to eat with, it has become a common thing to see people take the food that they couldn't eat, take it home, and they'll have the leftovers the next day. I literally used to never see that happen in China. Now it's common. And I think we could all agree that's a good thing because just wasting so much food, that is really just troubling to see. And last but not least, improvement number 5, China is getting cleaner and I'm seeing less littering. Littering is still a problem in China. People open up a candy bar or a pack of cigarettes, they'll rip off that little cover piece or the wrapper and just throw it on the ground. People buy a drink, they finish it, they just throw the plastic bottle on the ground. And they used to tell me, well, actually, it's good that we do this because if we didn't, then the street cleaners wouldn't have a job. They wouldn't have any work to do. So we're actually helping them to keep a job. And I always thought that was kind of a lame excuse. And like I said, littering here is still common. It's still a problem. But compared to before, it has definitely improved. And just in terms of China's method of keeping the streets clean, they are keeping the streets and the cities a lot cleaner than they used to. They're finding more effective and efficient ways to do it. And then you've got all the street sweepers everywhere and the street cleaners. So overall, China has gotten cleaner. You see less garbage on the ground. And like I said, there's still a long way to go. One thing that's always bothered me about living here, like when I go to some really beautiful natural place, like a mountain or a national park, you still see a lot of garbage just thrown out. And some of these are places that they're really proud of. It's like national treasures for them, like Huangshan, Yellow Mountain, or Taishan, which was near the hometown of Confucius. I would see people who talked about it. They were proud of those places, and then they would just throw trash on the ground. And it just really, really bothered me. And you still see that. I mean, it is getting less, though. So there you have it, guys. 5 big improvements that I've noticed in China over a time span of about 15, 16 years. Curious to hear your thoughts on this. I know some of you watching have lived in China. Some of you do live in China. Some of you have never been here. But I'm still curious to hear your thoughts, your reactions on this. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And as always, thank you for supporting the channel. For all of you all who have left me super thanks here on YouTube, for those of you who support me on Patreon, for those of you who have bought me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com, a special shout out to all of you. Your support means a lot. But that's going to wrap things up for this video, guys. Take care of yourselves, stay happy, healthy, and blessed. We'll catch you in the next video. 下次再见.